Hello, everyone. My name is David Levy. I'm going to be heading up this panel, and I'm going to let everyone here introduce themselves, starting with Candace.
Hi, I'm Candace Daniolo, the founder and CEO of Pet Boss Nation. And at Pet Boss Nation, we support independent retailers and brands to see success in sales and marketing and leadership. I've been in the industry, the pet industry specifically, since 2004, having had my own retail locations and doggy daycare and grooming. And now I wanted to stay in the industry after selling my locations to support small business owners.
Thank you, Candace. Chris, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself.
Hi, Christopher Guinn, co-owner of Dog Crazy. We currently have 7 locations in Virginia, just south of the nation's capital. And we've been in business for a little over 14 years.
Awesome. Thank you. And Nancy, since I know you're the boss, I'm going to let you introduce yourself.
My name is Nancy Guinn. I am the other co-owner of Dog Crazy with my husband, Chris, who you just met. We have been in business for 14 years. We do have 7 locations. We're actually about to open our first doggy daycare in addition to already doing grooming and then retail as well.
Thank you, Nancy. And last but not least, Heidi, please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Heidi Neal, and I am the owner of Loyal Biscuit Company. We also have 7 locations, and we're located in the state of Maine, which is pretty much the northeasternmost state in the country. We have been in business since January of 2010.
Thank you, Heidi. And for myself, so you understand where I come from, I've been in the pet space for 23 years. I started out as a distributor with 3 major locations in the United States, covering approximately 16 states. We carried about 120 brands. And then I sold off those distribution companies. I am an inventor, a manufacturer, a distributor, and today I have a company called Pet Product Innovations. I'm also on the board of a couple of different companies in the pet space, as well as an investor in and outside of the pet space. So I've got everything from manufacturing all the way, as well as retail stores. I was involved with a chain of retail stores for several years. So you've got a great panel here today, and I'm going to give everyone an opportunity to give you their opinion. And we're going to start out with a question basically to everybody. Given that pet retail was considered essential like it was almost all over the world, how well do you think, in a couple of words, retail pet is doing in the US today? Candace, if you wouldn't mind.
Well, I kind of have been saying that if you're not making money right now as a pet retailer, then you're doing something wrong because so many people got pets. Pet ownership is booming this year in the US, and that's more pet parents to serve. And so for our pet supply retailers, since they were considered essential, we had a wave of experiences. I'll let everyone else share their experience, but pet parents came out and hoarded and bought a bunch of stuff that they thought they would need that they wouldn't be able to get, which just created chaos in the whole ecosystem here. But pet retailers have stayed strong. They've had to pivot, and they're booming. Even if you're not making money right now or you're not being successful, there are always so many factors to that. But I would think that most of our pet supply retailers are doing pretty well.
Awesome, thank you, Chris.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. It's, across the industry, whether you're a retail or service, pet parents have come out in hordes because we've been on constant lockdowns and had to stay home and things like that. So they needed those companions. The independent pet stores have been reaping the rewards for that.
Yeah, they definitely have been reaping the rewards, as well as my business as well. International direct to consumer. I think we're all seeing that gain. Heidi, your opinion.
I would have to agree with everything that everyone said here. But in addition, not only the amount of new pets that people have acquired, those that are working from home and spending much more time with existing pets that they already had, are spending more time with them and wanting ways to entertain them and, really starting to pay, I think, more attention to their diet and their needs since they're with them so many more hours in a day than they were before.
definitely have to agree with you on that. And Nancy, please.
Yes, I agree with everybody else. We have never sold as much puppy food as we have in the last 7 months. We've had so many people transition to raw because they're home with their pets. So now they have the time to actually slowly transition them, to get them on a better diet, activity puzzles, things like that. People are really paying attention to their dogs and cat these days. It's actually been quite great for the pet industry.
That's great. This next question is going to be for Candace and Chris. Given the strength of the pet industry, is it possible for retailers to fail right now? Based on the Pet Value announcing the closure of 350 stores in the US, where everyone thought, and you don't have to base your answer on the Pet Value, but everyone's wondering now, hey, is pet really resilient? And it has been. I've been doing this for 23 years, and when I had distribution, we never missed a beat on having year over year, massive increases in sales. It never went down. So, here's a Pet Value announcing closure. So what do you think? Do you think, Candace, do you think pet independent retailers could fail?
Well, they certainly can. I mean, because owning a small business is one of the hardest things I think anyone can ever do. I think we get into it thinking, oh, how hard could this possibly be? And then we realize, wow, there's a lot to it. So yes, revenue is up, but there's things like staff and employees and finding good employees and training them well. I'm sure Chris could talk more about even the leases that different pet businesses have and the expenses that go into running a business. We also have to think about the debt that a lot of businesses might already be carrying, and things like, I guess that they could fail if they didn't pivot to getting their online stores up quickly, if they weren't quick to offer delivery and curbside. Like, everyone, when the change happened, you needed to be able to pivot quickly, whether that was also getting comfortable doing Facebook Lives and getting on camera and putting yourself and your brand out there more. We had to find new ways to reach consumers. And if you were really stuck in your old ways, you may still be struggling right now. So it certainly is possible for a business to fail, but because there's so many moving pieces. But Chris can talk more too about other elements that may be impacted even Pet Value. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, it just with any business and any industry and any, economy, there's always that opportunity for failure if you're not focused on your business. When we talk about Pet Value, and I can just being in the Pet Values that I've dealt with, because we've bought a couple of the, we've bought out fixtures from a couple of the stores that were already starting to go out. They kind of throw it at the wall and see what sticks. And, if that was, their rinse and repeat kind of method, they would open up stores, and if it didn't work out within the first, term of their lease, then they would shut it down and try again. And, they were heavy on the lease, light on the payroll. So when you take COVID into effect and you lose half your workforce and things like that, you have to shut down these stores. So, and they weren't able to pivot, as quickly as we are, because we are heavier on the payroll and we have multiple employees and things like that. So, any business, whether you're a single unit or, multi-unit or, even a national chain, there's always that potential for failure if you're not able to quickly adapt to the market. And that's really, as you're looking to the future, we now know literally anything can happen because 2020 has proven that. So you always have to be able to say, okay, what's 2021 got in store for us? How do I adapt to that? And how do I, always have those contingency plans. So.
Right. And I think you guys hit it on both ends. If people weren't willing to pivot, if they were like deer in headlights, not wanting to make a change, they can fail. I think any business can fail. And the other thing too is if you just hang around thinking, this thing's over, we don't have to worry about it, you're going to fail. So since you guys didn't fail, did you have systems in place prepared you to pivot over the last 9 months? And this question's for Heidi.
Thank you. I don't think we had specific systems in place designed for what 2020 brought us. I don't think any of us were ready for what 2020 brought us, but we were very strong operationally to start with. We have a very strong culture within our employees. And I think the fact that, yes, we have multi-locations, but we're still very small, allows us to pivot very quickly and to make changes as the situation comes along. For us, we didn't have online shopping when March 2020 hit. It was something we talked about for years and just never got around to doing it and felt very overwhelmed by it all. And we ended up partnering with eTail Pet, and within 3 days, we were fully functioning online with all of our stores for online order and pickup in store. And that was crucial for us. We opted, even though we were deemed essential, we opted to close our doors for 8 weeks to foot traffic, going solely off of curbside, phone orders, and online orders only, to reduce the amount of people in our stores while we tried to figure everything out. And I think being able to pivot and get that online shopping in place as quickly as we did and to make those changes, saved us during those 8 weeks while we got our procedures in place and our cleaning protocols and our safety protocols in place to open those doors back up to our customers. And we're now in a position that if our state does go back into lockdown, we're comfortable keeping our doors open in all of the procedures that we've created since this started. So I'm not worried should we end up back in lockdown again in our state. I think we've got a strong base in which to continue on.
I also think that those that have succeeded right now and that are making it by making those changes are actually making themselves stronger, because now they have these things implemented and they'll know in the future if something happens, they've got these other things to fall back on. So that's great. And this is, for Chris, what did you guys change, adapt to during COVID that you'll continue to use to make better? I mean, I kind of hinted on that right now, that everything should make you better, but what specifically, a couple of key items that you guys did that made you better?
Honestly, the big thing that helped us out is our online store. I mean, we already had an online store. It wasn't a huge presence that we had prior to COVID. We were slowly growing it. We had one delivery van. It was out of the back of one of our stores, and we had essentially one to two people that was dedicated to it. We had most of our products online, but when COVID hit, we were able to quickly add all of our products. We ended up leasing a warehouse, and moving forward, that's online is just it's another business segment that we will dedicate and focus. Just like every single store, it will always be a huge focus for us moving forward.
So let's talk about that for a second. Nancy, if you're talking online, are you guys worried about the Amazons, the Chewies, or are you being very specific about what you're putting online? You're saying, hey, I'm not worried about price. I just know our customers want our product. We're just going to put it up there. If we sell it, we sell it. And you don't play with the whole pricing thing?
No, we don't. We tell everybody they pay for service. And even with our online, even though it is online, they still get the same service that they get if they come into one of our stores. We focus on customer service with any customer who walks in. When they walk in the door, they meet our employees. By the time that customer leaves, I can walk up to one of our employees and I can say, what was that person's name? What kind of pets did they have? What were their pets' names? What kind of allergies did they have? It's just, we make sure that they leave our store feeling like a part of our family. And we do the same thing online. I'm actually the one who's in our warehouse every day. I know the customers that come through. I add special notes in their boxes. If it's a birthday, I personalize the birthday box. I make sure that they still get the same experience that they would get walking into our store, but with us delivering it to their house.
And on that note, that's what it takes to be successful, right? I've always told all my employees to come to work from 9 to 5 and then leave at 5 o'clock is not how you get a bonus. It's all the extra work you do. And all of us being entrepreneurs at different times in our life here, that's the way I've always looked at people being successful, is those like us that get up every day. When you figure out, how am I going to pay the bills, not pay the bills, you go out there and do the work, and it's about customer service for your customers. And it's the same thing with your employees. In my opinion, you've got to take care of your good employees, period. So when we spoke yesterday, kind of touching base, both Loyal Biscuit and Dog Crazy expanded your businesses by adding stores. I believe you guys said over the last 9 months. Heidi, can you tell me a little bit on why you did that in a couple of words? And then Nancy, and then Candace, I want to ask you, because you're working with a lot of companies, how many other people are expanding or contracting? So Heidi, please.
Yeah, so we added our 7th store in April of 2020. It was an acquisition of another store that was about an hour south of our main headquartered store. It was something we had gone under contract with in February. We didn't feel we could walk away. I didn't want to walk away. It was a great store and a great community. And I really felt that even though it was the worst time ever, that we could still make it work. And it actually ended up kind of playing out to our benefit as well, because we were closed to foot traffic for those 8 weeks. We were able to take that time and completely remodel the store to us during the day without having to worry about customers coming in and seeing the mess and working around it. So it actually worked out to our benefit in the end in terms of timing. And it's been a great addition to our Loyal Biscuit family.
Nancy, if you can follow up and tell me about your expansion.
Yes, so we had actually signed 2 new leases the week before COVID hit. So we didn't really have a choice but to continue going on with what we were doing. We did not expect to open another location in between that, though. About a month after COVID started, we were working out of the back of one of our stores, doing all of our shipping from there. And again, it was just such a tight space, and we were doing thousands and thousands of dollars a day in online sales. So I told my husband, look, I need a warehouse. I need somewhere that I can do this and do it right. I can't function in this small space. So we ended up renting a warehouse about 2 minutes from our house. So we moved into a 5,000 square foot warehouse in the midst of all that, hired 7 more people, more delivery drivers, more people to pack and ship orders, a warehouse manager. And that business has just taken off. So we've skyrocketed since then.
Okay, yeah, and really, so many of our Pet Boss Nation community members and clients are growing and expanding. I've heard so many stories of either opening more of their own locations, like everybody on this panel tonight, or even taking over the space next door to them and just making their current location larger. We've heard of people moving completely and renovating. Some are given an opportunity to acquire other businesses. Times like these, often when there is struggle and stress, or even people who their priorities shift. COVID taught us a lot about what really was important to us. If maybe we want to be with our family, or maybe there's something else we want to be doing. And so we've seen clients who their competitor in the next town over is ready to retire, and they do have a successful business that can be acquired. So there's growth in a lot of places.
Yeah, I've seen that, not just here in the U.S., but in other countries of people that we do business with overseas. They're seeing acquisitions. They're seeing people, maybe they're owner operators and they're older, and they just didn't want to be in the store. And they're like, you know what, this is a great opportunity for us to just call it a day and move on. So, the last 9 months have been hard on everyone, as Candace, you just kind of pointed out. What do you think the biggest pain point, in a couple of words, and I'd like to, all of you guys to answer on this. What were the biggest pain points that, Candace, either you heard about or Chris, Nancy, and Heidi, that you had to deal with, do you think? And then priorities. So bottleneck and then pain points, basically, if there were any.
From our perspective as business coaches and helping get information out, at the very beginning of all of this, for the first few months in March, April, and even in May, there was just a lot of confusion and uncertainty about what exactly were they supposed to do as small business owners, as communication to employees, and also how they could get funding and financing. And because so many of them were swamped in their businesses, working extra hours and trying to keep up with all of that demand. So there wasn't a lot of time to listen to what the authorities were, encouraging you to do. So I think that was a few months of a lot of intense work. To me, that would be one of the biggest ones.
Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the biggest, things for us was that because of COVID, we, especially in our Richmond stores, we had a bunch of younger employees, associates that got scared. So we had some high turnover, and even to this day, we're still dealing with, some high turnover because of the stimulus plan that they put forth and the extra unemployment. Some were opting to stay home to get that additional unemployment versus actually coming to work and working. We were dealing with that. So I think it's finally settled down where actually we've got a great team now. But it's kind of also made us reevaluate our training processes and things like that. So where we were doing them in person, now we're starting to do virtual training to, kind of shorten the learning curve.
Very good. Heidi?
Over the last 9 months for me, I think my biggest pain point was the fact that we are located on the coast of Maine, which is an incredibly high tourist destination. And obviously with travel being down and restricted, for us, it was a challenge to get past losing all of those tourists and losing all those tourist dollars. And I think we did a great job at pivoting to really focus more on our local market that we kind of take for granted, especially in the summer months. And we really took the opportunity to step up our marketing game to our local customers and the people that live here year round. But for us, losing that group of customers was definitely one of the biggest pain points of COVID for us so far.
Nancy, anything that you want to add after Chris?
Yeah, well, the same thing. Hiring it has been an issue. We've had a lot of people who will come and work for one day and then they don't show up again, and then we get an unemployment claim on them. I think the other hard thing has been what to do when somebody calls and says, I've been exposed to somebody with COVID, and how we handle that situation. And I think we finally have it down. We are quick to say, you do not come in until you have a test. We want to make sure that we're protecting anybody who walks into our store, all of our employees. We don't want to risk anything happening to anybody who has been there for us through all of this, including the people who have supported us coming in and shopping with us. So I think that's been the hardest thing, is figuring out how to handle that. And we finally got that down.
Awesome. I think if nothing else, this should teach independent retailers, and I'm not talking just pet, I'm talking anywhere and everywhere, as well as even the big guys, is how important your local market is, and the people that live within a short distance of your location, if you have brick and mortar, because without those people, they have other options. They can go online, which is really easy. How many of us during this whole COVID thing found online places that we can buy from? And I'm not talking pet products. I'm talking about things you just don't go to the store for anymore, that you say, hey, I don't need to do it anymore. I'm just going to order online. So it is, in my opinion, it's keeping, like you said, customer service in place, keeping them engaged all the time, whether it's a newsletter, whether it's a when we can get back together, a happy hour, or what are they calling these things today, Candace? I think a yappy hour. So yeah, I think it's really important. It's great that you guys have all done that. Candace, what do you think some of the growth categories are, since you're dealing with a bunch of different retailers? What do you think the growth category is here in the US right now?
Well, I would come from the perspective of the growth categories being delivery, really getting into delivery, doing subscriptions on some level, whether that's reoccurring food orders in their stores, or even a mystery box or subscription box. There's a real opportunity there. As far as categories of food, and speaking with even Nancy and Heidi and Chris, that they care so much more about nutrition. Pet parents are really getting into what they're feeding their pets. And we've seen raw pet food growing like crazy. I've heard multiple retailers saying that they're buying more freezers, more backstock freezers. There's even some people that have like bulk buying raw subscription clubs even, and these pallets just show up of raw food and the customers pick them up. So that's where I would see growth opportunities for people. If you're not offering delivery, get your van wrapped, get out there and start delivering. Heidi, this is for you, girl. No, and then, you know, doing some sort of a subscription to get that reoccurring revenue coming in.
Chris, same question. What do you think a growth category is that you've seen?
Yeah, honestly, local delivery. I mean, you know, people have definitely shifted how they're purchasing. We have some people that started off online and they've made their way back to the store now that you know, things have calmed down, but we now have those that will just, you know, moving forward, they're going to be online. But, you know, also the service industry with you know, with the boom of pet parents, obviously you're also looking at a boom in training and things like that. And, you know, so pet walking, pet services, there's obviously that boom. So anytime you can, you know, incorporate it into more of a one-stop shop, then that's obviously great. But as Candace said, reoccurring revenue, that is a huge focus that I have moving forward. You know, just with online, we do auto ships, things like that. So as we open up our daycare, we'll all, you know, tie it all together with monthly packages, you know, across the board where we're getting discounts for, you know, daycare, grooming, you know, and on the retail, just to really tie them all together and keep them loyal to us.
That I think is a really important point. The more you can keep them in your store or engage, even if it's not on the store, as long as you can keep them engaged and they're happy and you have good customer service, I think you've got a customer for life, and they'll tell people about it, right? So I think you've hit it on the head. Heidi, same question for you. Growth categories, any particular product, or are you seeing the same thing?
I same with raw, hands down. Definitely one of our biggest growth categories. All 7 of our stores are getting 2 additional freezers this year. Several of our stores even got 3 and 4 new freezers this year in our busier stores. So, you know, raw and the nutrition piece for us has definitely been a huge growth period. I think for us in our market, delivery is a little bit more challenging. We are we're not a very populated state, and it's very geographically spread out. So, you know, that makes it a bit more of a challenge for us in our market. I wish it was something that was a little bit more easier for us, because I do think it would be a great service to offer. I think we just have some unique challenges based on our location for it. But the nutrition, hands down, has been a huge growth category for us.
And Nancy, you got anything to add to Chris? I'm sure you do.
Well, what everybody said, you know, we're doing delivery. Raw has just skyrocketed for us. One thing I've noticed, though, we have added bakeries to some of our stores. People love those personalized little touches, even on dog cookies. So that's where we're going off to next. Is I want to have our own line of treats. So I want to move into distribution and have our own company when it comes to that. So, and it's just a personalized thing that nobody will be able to offer except for us, you know, and that's just one thing I think nobody else can ever take from you.
I just want to elaborate on both something there that Nancy said and Chris from earlier. So private labeling, when we get talking back about products, private labeling is a huge opportunity. So for any manufacturers who are watching, who want to find an affordable way for some of the smaller businesses in the US and probably all over the world to customize your products, that's going to be really important. And then 2, that again, because pet ownership is up and training and behavior. I mean, if people are working at home and they're with their dogs right now so much, like once things do get back to normal, the separation anxiety and the bad behaviors that are going to be showing up in dogs is going to be huge. And so product, again, wise, any training type products to help with that transition, I think will, you know, in the next 12 months could be really big.
Hey, I'm going to toot my own horn. So while you guys are dealing with COVID, we had the luxury of having the Zen clipper, where people all of a sudden couldn't go to their groomers, couldn't go to their vets to get their nails done. And they're like, I need a nail clipper that I actually trust. So we invented and manufacture and sell the Zen clipper, and it went nuts. And then the paw plunger, where everyone was worried about COVID, right? We were doing hand sanitizer and everything else. We manufacture and we own the paw plunger. and everyone was worried about, can my dog bring COVID home? Right. And so everyone was cleaning their paws. So we saw a boom as well. And again, it's kind of like when the stock market crashes, there are still people making money. It's amazing how that works. One thing many years ago, I told one of the companies I'm an investor in and on the board of, said, we need to start doing CBD treats. And they all told me I was nuts. And I think it was 3 years ago, there may have been 7 CBD companies at a show. And then the following show, there were like 47. So final question, I guess, what do you see on the horizon for pet space, or what do you think needs to happen? And then Candace, really quick, before I let anyone jump in here, if there are any US and or Canadian companies watching this, and you're a multi-store and you're looking for some people that can actually manufacture private label treats, reach out to me. Send me an email or somehow get in touch with me, and I can hook you up with a couple of really good manufacturers, both north of the border and down here in the US. So what do you think's on the horizon? And Nancy, you're going first this time. I'm not going to let Chris take your thunder.
Okay, this is what I hope is on the horizon. I hope we have more raw exotic proteins. It's very hard to find those types of things. We have a dog ourselves that can only eat kangaroo. If I could find raw kangaroo for him, I would be in heaven, because it is almost impossible to find. So I'm really hoping that more raw companies get away from the chicken and the beef, the easier things to find, and go towards the more exotic proteins for dogs that really need it, because I would pay any price for that. So I really hope that comes around soon.
Heidi, what do you think? Do you have anything coming on the horizon, or you think?
This is a tough one. There isn't anything that I can think of that's coming on the horizon or even that I'm looking for. I guess the one thing that I see that I don't like is, I feel like everybody, like a lot of manufacturers, toys, treats, whatever, are basically just copying what's already out there. I'd like to see some creativity and something truly different than what's already out there, than having 7 options of the same different thing, just with a different name slapped on them.
Great point. Candace.
For me, I don't sell products anymore. It's been about 4 years since I had my store, so I haven't been buying as much and know what's on the market. But when I look at the products that have come out that are really helping small businesses, it's the tech, all the technology that's coming out, whether that's like e-tail, like she said, or other platforms like NextPaw, or anything else that can make the tech side of their pet business be less intimidating and scary. So many of our small business owners get into it because they're passionate about what the products can do, but they need the tech support, whether it's point of sale system or mobile friendly websites or understanding how to do Facebook ads. There's so many things that they need to know. So I'd love to see more innovations around that to make it easy.
And Chris, you're last this time, buddy. So
that's okay. But I will add what Candace said. With the influx in pet parents again, and eventually they will be going back to work. Some will continue to stay home and work from home, as big corporations have actually seen an increase in productivity from people working at home versus actually having to come to an office and things of that nature. So I honestly, more puzzle toys, more, things that are actually going to keep dogs entertained while their pet parents are working. And for those that are, actually going to be going back into the office and stuff like that, then obviously we're going to start seeing more additional influx of products that deal with anxiety, separations, things of that nature. Hopefully not CBD. That's kind of like saturated. We'll start to move on to the next great thing.
Well, all great points from everyone. I also sit on Purina's PCIP, which is their basically incubator. And this year I looked at 73 different companies that went to Purina, to be in part of their competition. And of those 73 that I looked at, I would have to say more than 65% were tech, whether it was, vet type of service, or if it was games for anxiety. And I've had a lot of those companies, I shouldn't say a lot, probably a handful of those companies come to me for investment as well. And you were right. We're going to have to do something for our anxiety as well as the animals' anxiety, because if people go back to work, I think there's going to be anxiety for both of us. It's a good thing that several states already legalized some things recently in the U.S. because that might be a necessity. So anyway, I want to thank all of you for your time, your insight, and everything else over this last half hour or so. And thanks again. I think this was great, and I hope everyone that's watching got some information about the U.S. Pet market. And again, and I'll put this out there again, if there's anyone out there looking for private label in the U.S. or north of the border, I know several people that can do that in small and or large quantities. So that's really all we have. And thanks again for our panel. That's it. Thank you so much.